Mega!
Super
Cool!
Welcome to this evening's public service event provided to benefit the Huntington Beach business community by your Huntington Beach Chamber of Commerce. Tonight's City Council and Clerk Forum is strictly an educational forum. The Chamber has no role, no favorites. They just want to have whatever's good for Huntington Beach is good for the Chamber.
Hello, Huntington Beach. How are you guys doing today? Doing well? Great. All right. So we have two city clerks. I have Lisa Lane Barnes, and we have Regina Blankenhorn that are going for the city clerk position that's coming up. The city clerk is responsible for recording and maintaining a full and true record of all proceedings of the city council in books that shall bear appropriate title and be devoted to such purpose. Conducts annexations and city elections, administers oaths, and takes affidavits and dispositions pertaining to the affairs of city business. Sample the task, prepare minutes for each city council meeting, maintain books and records for public inspection, acts as a custodian of the city seal, conducts, supports all city elections, and more, a lot more. A very, very prestigious position. Got a minute to give us a quick introduction of yourself and a little bit about you.
I am Lisa Lane Barnes. I am running for the office of City Clerk. I am a top performer with a global organization. I have management experience at the national level. I am endorsed by Orange County Clerk Hugh Nguyen. I am also endorsed by Orange County Audit Controller Andrew Hamilton. I am a nonprofit leader, a community organizer, and a champion of the local charities. I love to work for the Kiwanis, the Boys and Girls Club, Golden West Patrons, Bolsa Chica Conservancy, Robin's Nest, and many others. I support our Huntington Beach Police Department. I am a 4th of July parade announcer. I am here for good governance. I am here to accurately record the legislative history of our city. I am here to run our elections with fair and integrity and transparency. I am here to serve the citizens of Huntington Beach. I am here for this higher office.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Regina Blankenhorn, your candidate for City Clerk in Huntington Beach. Thanks for the Chamber for hosting this forum for us tonight. I'm going to hit the ground running on day one. Given my vast experience in city government, I am endorsed by both the current City Clerk of Huntington Beach and the retired City Clerk of Huntington Beach. And when elected, I'm going to have very big shoes to fill. Robin Estanislaw and Joan Flynn have set exemplary standard for the role of city clerk. I have 3 decades of government experience. I bring knowledge and leadership that go beyond filling the minimum requirements for the Huntington Beach city clerk.
Question number 1, what relevant experience and education prepares you for this important city leadership responsibility? We'll give this to you, Regina.
As I mentioned, I have 3 decades worth of experience in public service in both city government and as a public school teacher. I have a degree in business. I am a credentialed teacher, and I started my career in public service in the city clerk's office. I moved on to the redevelopment agency and then went into the city manager's office. I worked for 19 years as a public school teacher and loved every minute of it. But I found myself going back into local government, and I currently serve and directly support a city council. I ensure they follow policies and procedures and do not enter into any conflict of interests, and that they do not violate the Brown Act or any other forms.
Now we'll go on to Lisa Lane.
I am a commissioner on the Community Services as a direct advisory board to the City Council. I advise them on the capital improvement projects, refurbishment, acquisition, and management of our 78 parks, 5 libraries, and 1 golf course. I've spent the vast majority of my career with a global organization in project implementation, managing large teams, national contracts, and in excess of $20 million with a 7 to 10% year-over-year revenue generation. During that time, that experience gives me understanding of compliance with local, state, and national regulatory agencies. Handling those contracts have given me experience for meticulous execution of those contracts. I have completed the Huntington Beach Citizens Academy, the Huntington Beach Police Department Citizens Academy, and I am a woman of distinction given an award by Senator Janet Nguyen.
The second question, now can you please elaborate on specific activity that you led or supported to enhance and build relationships with the business community?
I am a businesswoman here in Huntington Beach, and I spend a vast majority of my time with the local nonprofits to build that business there. I live and work in Huntington Beach. And as a businesswoman, I've had the opportunity to review the annual budget for the city clerk's office, and I have found an area where we could generate some revenue for our city. Currently, they process 6,000 passports at $35 each, which generates a revenue of $210,000. That's only 3% of our population. If we moved that to 15%, we could generate $1 million directly into our general fund. The clerk's budget is $1.4 million, and with the possible budget shortfalls looming, it seems that it would be a good idea if we took a look at generating additional income for this office to support itself.
Now we're going to pose the same question to Regina.
As a career technical educator, I actually recruited businesses so my students could serve internships there. It was a great way to build a bridge with education and the businesses. We made a lot of contacts that way, and we continued that for a very long time. They gained experience, and many times my students would get hired by those interns. They worked in insurance, even Jim Silva's office when he was here. According to the budget, and you mentioned the passport services, I'd like to comment. You know, we're ready to serve 6,000 this year, and that's what we plan to do. But we have to remember that we're restricted by the government to only charge $35 per passport. So even though we do 200,000, Newport Beach, they only do 31,000 a year. And Anaheim, who has 350,000 people in their population, only get 46,000.
We're going to give you 1 minute if you can give us a little pitch on your best on why you should have the city clerk position.
Business owners hire managers and department heads with experience, qualifications, and worthy to lead their departments. Standards need to be met, and experience matters. I offer a vast public experience where I gain much knowledge and wisdom in my years. Being endorsed by the two esteemed city clerks of Huntington Beach should say a lot about my character. They trust that I will be neutral, transparent, fair, and competent as the city clerk of Huntington Beach.
Lisa, we're going to ask you the same question.
Beyond the role of an administrative assistant and the statutory execution of the daily tasks, more than this office needs to go to someone who has a wider organizational perspective, a broader strategic vision, a true department head, a true leader. My experience well exceeds the statutory tasks of this office. The combination of my global experience, contract management, project implementation, a commissioner as a direct advisor to our city council, and well involved with the heartbeat of Huntington Beach. I know Huntington Beach. I am involved with the city. I live, work, and play here and want to serve the city at a higher level.
Now we're going to go to City Council. Now, City Council plays a very vital role in our community. It's the voice of our community. It's ones that make decisions that are very, very important to what we do and how we grow as Huntington Beach. It not only affects our community, it affects our business community. I think we're good on that, right? Perfect. 1 minute introduction. Butch, we're going to start with you.
My name is Butch Twining. I'm a 59-year resident of Huntington Beach. Went through the, excuse me, went through the Ocean View School District, Village View, Marina High School, Harbor View, Marina High School. When I graduated from Marina in 1974, I enlisted in the United States Air Force, served 4 years, discharged, drove fast across the country from Biloxi, Mississippi back to Huntington Beach, and I've never left. I was the owner. I'm now retired. I was actually an employee, an executive, and finally the owner of a family-owned business. I was fourth generation, and it's called Twining Laboratories. And I retired in December 2021, and I've spent the last 2 years as your Huntington Beach chairman of the Planning Commission.
Dan, you're up next.
My name is Dan Kalmick. I've had the pleasure to serve as your city council member for the last almost 4 years. For those of you that don't really know me, I grew up in the area and have lived in Huntington Beach almost my entire adult life. Prior to moving to Huntington Beach, I graduated from UC Berkeley with a degree in electrical and computer engineering. I'm now raising my family in North HB with my 2-year-old and my 5-year-old daughter who now attends an OVSD school. Service has been in my family, and since arriving in Huntington Beach, I figured out ways to give back. Served as a volunteer firefighter with Orange County Fire. I've been teaching a computer class right in this building and prior, the old building down on 17th Street for seniors, so I guess for 12, 15 years now. I've also served currently as the president of the Bolsa Chica Land Trust. But running for my second term is to work on the goals that I originally started for. Now, obviously, the last couple of years have been rather tumultuous, but we want to continue to work on public safety, homelessness, and infrastructure.
My name is Mr. Amory Hansen, and I am a historic choice for Huntington Beach. I serve on the Historic Resources Board and Infrastructure Report Card Commission. I'm the chairman of Big Fun Therapy and Recreational Services. I'm on Friends of Edison Park. I'm involved with the Orange County Historical Society. I want to be your voice. I want to hear what you have to say for Huntington Beach. Vote for Mr. Amory Hansen, a historic choice, number 2 on the ballot. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Marissa Jackson, and I was raised military, Air Force, grew up moving around every 2 years, and finally was able to be blessed to live here. I wish I had lived here my whole life, but I love being here. I love the people here. I'm the wife of a private business owner and nonprofit organization that works for the families of the fallen soldiers all across the nation. I'm the only conservative mom running, who is a mom of 5, who you could say has skin in the game. I'm endorsed by Moms for America and the only other independent voice not letting big party politics get in the way. I'm willing to be a voice for all, to represent all of our residents, and willing to listen to both sides of issues of what's going on in our city. I believe in being honest. I believe in integrity and in decency, which I feel like we need right now. We need to focus on safety and security and keeping Huntington Beach family friendly. As a wife of a business owner, I feel it's important that we also support our businesses. I have a degree in political science, emphasis in public administration. I'm a community volunteer, church volunteer, and the time is up.
So I'm Rhonda Bolton. I've had the great honor to serve as your city council member for the past 3 years. I am a middle-class kid who worked hard and achieved my dream job to be a policy advisor to a member of Congress in Washington, D.C. Marriage, law school, 2 kids, and 20 years later, our dream matured into wanting to leave the rat race and raise our 2 very young kids in a beautiful beach community with friendly people. And we arrived in Surf City in 2012, loved it, and have been here ever since. I am motivated to serve by my appreciation for the community and the way that we were welcomed when we moved here. People know me as the voice of reason and common sense, and my goals are common sense goals. It is to make sure that we have economic policy that benefits our businesses and our economy.
My name is Chad Williams. Born and raised here in Huntington Beach, and went on to become a U.S. Navy SEAL shortly after 9/11. I had a desire to serve this country, and while serving overseas, I always felt that I was representing the nation, but not only the nation, it was Huntington Beach that I was always looking forward to getting back home to and surfing. Eventually, I would marry my high school sweetheart, and we're raising a couple of young children now in this city. And I think you begin to pay attention a little bit more to your surrounding environment when you're raising your kids. And I began to notice that really it was bad policies that was leading to bad consequences. And everything really came to a head taking my kids downtown, thinking I'm taking them to a pastime favorite place, but really I was bringing them into danger. And the thought came to mind, those words, all that's required for evil to triumph, is for good men to stand back and do nothing. I'm not a do-nothing kind of person. I want to be an agent of change. I genuinely love this city. I'm not a politician. I'm a patriot. I love this place, and you fight different when you're fighting for what you love.
My name is Natalie Mosier. I'm your council member. The future of Huntington Beach is up to us. We can elect leaders who put themselves, their political interests, and their personal agendas first, or we can work together to calm the chaos and put Huntington Beach residents and businesses first. Born and raised in Huntington Beach, I'm a parent and a small business owner, and I have been the project that all the city has to offer: excellent schools, beautiful beaches, safe neighborhoods, and a great dance studio. After graduating from Marina High School, I worked multiple jobs to put myself through college, and later I earned my MBA from Chapman University. After years of success in the financial services leadership industry, I started my own business. With the help of families and doctors, I survived breast cancer, and I've taken that resilience and knowledge that we have a limited amount of time here to make sure that I use my time wisely and give back. I'm fed up with the culture wars and extremism that seeks to tear us apart. I'll continue to work for local solutions, supporting first responders, investing in our libraries, tackling homelessness, and restoring civility and functional government to City Hall. I hope to earn your vote and work to make Huntington Beach a thriving community we can all be proud of.
My name is Don Kennedy. I arrived here in 1962. I'm a husband of 30 years, a father of 3. I'm a man of faith, and I've been successful in business for over 30 years, currently serving as your vice chairman on the Planning Commission. I've also been an active volunteer. In the private sector, what I've learned is you're held accountable. There must be transparency. There must be results. And I've got 3 decades of being held accountable, producing results, being profitable. What we do in the private sector is we create opportunities, we manage inefficiencies, and these are the types of things that I will bring to the dais. I am doing this not for me. It may sound cliche, but I am doing this for us. I'm doing this for my family, your family, my kids, and our grandkids. I love Huntington Beach. If somebody was to ask me, summarize you, Don, why are you doing this? I would say I am Huntington Beach first. I grew up in the best Huntington Beach possible, and I want to preserve what I believe to be the best city in the world.
A fun little section where we have the paddles. It's green means thumbs up and red means thumbs down, okay? 3 questions. Is increased traffic an issue for Huntington Beach? Okay, perfect. All right, question number 2. Is lack of parking an issue for HB businesses? Do you think HB is business friendly? I like that, Natalie. So we'll start with the first question. Just a reminder, you have 1 minute. What are the top 3 challenges for businesses in Huntington Beach?
A challenge for a business is a challenge for our residents. Number 1 is public safety. Number 2 is homelessness. And number 3 is revenue shortages. So what I've learned is if you don't feel safe in your city or in your business, that's a problem that will detract from the entire business experience and the residential experience. So our sworn officers, the head count is very low. We need to be cognizant of that. Our fire department is low as well. So for the businesses and for the residents, public safety is number 1. Secondly, homelessness. The problem with homelessness is it does affect business, it does affect residents. If you have vagrants lingering outside your resident or your businesses, it's a problem. The customers do not want to give you the patronage. So homelessness is something that our current council majority has done a great job reducing the numbers, and we want to attack that. And number 3 is when you have revenue shortages, that will affect businesses as well in regards to the potential services that we can offer our businesses. So my goal is to drive additional revenue into our general fund.
There are many different challenges for businesses in Huntington Beach, things that are somewhat out of our control, things like inflation, costs of doing business, labor costs. Those are big challenges for our businesses here. Additionally, regulation, streamlining, especially for those who want to start new businesses, it can be very challenging. We've been working on that within the city. I will say, though, that I think one of the biggest challenges is going to be what the city can control, which is a lack of stability in local government, a lack of functional government. With the chaos that's been created here and with recent culture wars, we've lost our workforce within the city hall, with over 107 current vacancies of funded positions, over 30 positions in public works, 27 positions down in police. There are so many different people, including 4 in our city manager's office, one being our actual city manager. As businesses, you know that you need your leadership at the top to be able to provide active stability, predictability, and strategy moving forward. And I think that without a functional city government and city hall, it's more difficult for us to make sure that our businesses have a brighter future.
I think I'll lead off with the homelessness and the public safety. It's the vagrants. I think that we all have a story. We've all had an experience where we've encountered it. This is really what really got me started in all of this, taking my kids to pastime favorite places like downtown, getting a skateboard for my son over at Jack's Surf Shop. And as we're outside the surf shop, next thing I know, one of these folks that's really out of their mind, 5150, in the 4th dimension, screaming in my face. And my son asking me, "Daddy, is this man going to fight you?" I think it's experiences like that, or even the recent shooting downtown, that has concerned people about going downtown. And so this is a great concern. We need public safety at the forefront. And another would be maybe a little different than what you would expect, would be the weaponization of code enforcement. You know, for a while it was really getting out of control, where people could anonymously report businesses. And at one point, I think the reason that there had to be more transparency was after Dan Kalmick was involved with the corner market, the stalking and the surveilling of that business. He's not a business-friendly person. And the two people that he runs with, the Newsom threesome, they run together. They're not business-friendly either.
So number one, I think, is we want to have economic policy that is based on common sense, business sense, and not based on emotion or politics. Good business is not red or blue. Good ideas are not red or blue. If I hear a good idea, I'm going to be working on it and in support of it, regardless of who proposes it. The second thing is, I do agree that public safety is an important issue, whether you are a business owner or a resident. If you don't feel safe, you know, everything else just doesn't matter. So we have to have a city that feels safe to our residents and our business owners. And then finally, I would also mention, you know, our workforce. I talk to a lot of business owners who say, "Hey, I'm having a really hard time finding people, you know, that are the right people for these jobs." Our education institutions here do a great job. We need our kids to stay in Huntington Beach as adults and work here.
I've had the opportunity to speak to a lot of businesses here in Huntington Beach, and they are facing safety issues right now. There have been break-ins, and that's definitely a concern of mine. It deters business. It's hard when you have merchandise stolen. It shouldn't happen here in Huntington Beach, and we need to fix that. Another issue is the permits and licensing. The rate keeps going up every year. Can you hear me?
Yes, there we go.
The rate keeps going up. If there's a way we can stop that, I think that would be great. Homelessness, of course, is the big issue we keep talking about. So many businesses have told me they've had to call to get them removed from their business every morning. We need to improve that. We need to fix that.
Well, number one is inflation, although unfortunately that's largely beyond the city council's control. I would just urge staying the course on that. Number two is red tape. I was very proud to support the Streamline Huntington Beach program that was created I think last year, and continue to support that. Number three is competition for space from residences. You know, maybe if Sacramento wasn't trying to have us build 13,000 units of housing, we could build all these great businesses, but according to them, we have to build a ton of houses instead. So I hope that I will continue to fight against that, and I hope we can make it so that we can build many restaurants and businesses for many years to come.
Well, thank you. Huntington Beach has a lot of different types of businesses. Most of our businesses are small businesses, but we still have some very large employers in town, Boeing being one of them. We need to make sure that we have a stable government that is not going to pull your permits when you're 90% of the way through your project, isn't going to try to revoke an environmental impact report for a corridor that makes 15% of our sales tax. One of the largest issues is staff shortages. Affordable housing, the ability for a workforce to get here and afford to live here and not have to travel 4 or 5 hours in is critically important to most of the businesses I talk to. Homelessness is obviously an issue, but I think for some of our larger employers, it's trying to get a workforce that can afford to come and live and work in Huntington Beach. So a predictability of your government, that when they say they're going to do something, they're going to do it. Transparency in that government, and eventually get to permit streamlining. We had a 311 program that was in the works. This new council has seemingly dropped that.
Well, as a business owner, or an ex-business owner, I could come up with lots of challenges for businesses, but for Huntington Beach and specifically our businesses here, and it's been said once or twice or 3 times before, but public safety, we have nothing unless we have a strong public safety presence, police, fire, harbor patrol, those type of things. Natalie said it earlier, I wrote it down, was costs associated with doing business here in Huntington Beach. It's very high. Natalie said that there's nothing that we can do. I think there is things that we can do around fees, possibly tax holiday for them. There's things we can do. And then finally, parking in downtown is quite difficult. I think we need to address that. I think we need to invest in our businesses and make them better, or make it easier for them to do business here in Huntington Beach.
Are you aware of the businesses lost to the other cities? And if so, what would you do as a council member to attract those businesses back to Huntington Beach?
I'm not personally familiar with businesses that left this town, Huntington Beach, to go to another city, but I certainly see businesses that have closed down. I don't know why. I'm sure they have, many reasons. I don't know if they closed down here to move to another city. Attracting them back is really no different in my initiative for attracting, companies that were once here versus attracting new companies that are here. Basically, is the same initiative, the same thing. We have to give them reason to come back, and we can't just say, come on back without giving them a reason or giving them incentives. And those incentives could be, things like fast track building permits, certificate of occupancies. I understand that our certificate of occupancies with our new system, we're up 25% last year, and I think that's helpful. And then we can also potentially waive certain fees to bring them back.
Well, it's almost an unknowable question, right? If someone was going to open their business in Huntington and they went to Irvine, would we know about it? Some cases, yes. I know we've had conferences that have chosen not to come to Huntington Beach because of the changes over the last 2 years. But I'll talk about what I've actually done as a city council member and previously as a planning commissioner. TS Conductor is a company that opened up business in Huntington Beach and North Huntington. They make utility-grade electrical wire. They make big cables that you see on the big high-tension lines. They approached the city a long time ago, when I was 4 years ago, and asked for help on a Department of Energy grant. I brought that to our mayor and made sure that we went out there and talked with them. And they got that grant. They actually won an Orange County Business Council award just recently. Also, as a planning commissioner, I helped add the research and technology zone to our city that allowed businesses to dynamically change what they had going on in just the standard industrial use. Also brought planning commission review down to the zoning administrator in order to for pro forma projects. And it's the reason that I'm supported by the Orange County Business Council.
I am not aware of any businesses lost to other cities. As a matter of fact, I am aware of several businesses that we have gained from other cities, and I'm very happy about that. I would hope that as a council member, I would work to attract more and more businesses to Huntington Beach for years and decades to come.
Yes, I am aware that there has been business loss here. We need to, like I said before, see if we can work on permits and licensing, reduce the cost on that. And I know rent is an issue. From talking to businesses, there are some that are considering leaving because the rent is just getting too high for their local business. So that's something that needs to be addressed as well.
I want to elaborate on something that Dan mentioned, which was the loss of convention or event business here, which is very important to the city because tourism is such a large part of our economy. I am aware of convention business that we have lost. Sometimes those sponsors let us know that they're not coming and why, and sometimes they don't. And I think that the fact that they don't is because they are afraid of retribution, which is unfortunate. Doing business through retribution is not a logical way to do business. I think that the preferable way is for us to be able to have a dialogue with someone when they say, hey, I'm not bringing my conference back next year. If those folks felt like they could talk to us, maybe we could learn what we could do better next time so that we could attract their business. That's certainly what I would do and what I do try to do on the city council.
Yeah, I'm shocked that nobody has brought up the iconic rubies. 30 years we had them at the end of our pier, a real staple of our community. We lost them to Newport Beach. The owners, they opened up a new restaurant by the name of Shorebirds. And what was their hardship at that time? They went through COVID-19. And during that time, who was their landlords? Well, the landlords were the city. That was under your watch, Dan Kalmick, under your watch, Natalie Moser. You were their landlords, and you could have deferred their rent. You could have offered them a way out of that hardship to make life easier, or any business that was open during that time and being shut down because of the pandemic. Maybe a no mask, no vaccine mandate would have been really the answer. It allows them to stay open. And so I think really leaning into that no mask, no vaccine policy assures businesses in the future that if there is another pandemic, don't worry, you will not be shut down into the ground and just decimated the way that you were under their leadership.
First, I just wanted to respond and say that we all think public safety is important. So is public health. So that's a shame of what you just said. I think that it's very difficult to quantify the businesses that have not chosen to come here. Rhonda also mentioned we do know about certain tourism and certain conventions that have chosen not to come. But for those that we're trying to retain, encourage expansion for, or attract, things that we can do are tax sharing incentives, also incentivizing development in underutilized areas. But I think the most important thing is improving our reputation. Attacking librarians and teachers doesn't attract business and economic development to our city. It doesn't pave roads, it doesn't improve infrastructure, or attract and retain not only businesses and industries, but also the top and most excellent employees here in City Hall. And those are the things that we need to do. Fix city government, find functional government, calm the chaos, and welcome people back to the city of Huntington Beach and attract them here.
Rather than trying to address businesses lost, what I'd like to address is, number one, we have to cultivate a business-friendly environment. I probably have more business experience than anybody up here other than Mr. Twiney down there. And what we learn in business is real simple. Hearing is mechanical, listening is mental. You have to listen to your businesses to understand their needs, and then you have to solve their problems. One thing I can assure you I would not do is take a highly profitable event, such as the air show that drives over $3 million into the general fund coffers, brings goodwill to the world, establishes Huntington Beach as a landmark jewel. You don't take those types of businesses when you're facing revenue shortfalls and force them or sue them out of existence. That is not goodwill. That is not something I would ever support. But back to the business-friendly environment. As I said, you have to understand the business's problems. You have to do that by listening, not hearing, and you have to help them solve their problems. Build it and they will come. If this is a friendly environment, we will see businesses continue to come to Huntington Beach.
Please share any key business insights that you will carry with you to City Council.
I'll carry 30 years of business successes. In my business background, I've had every title from founder to partner to executive vice president. I've run extremely large teams. As I said in my opening statement, in business, you're held accountable. You must be transparent. You must be profitable. You build consensus and you solve problems. I've been running large teams for decades successfully. In doing so, I learned those steps along the way that you have to be profitable. You have to understand how to build a business. You have to assess the weaknesses and you have to manage the inefficiencies. So to answer your question is my business insights that I've developed over 30 years of success in the private sector, I want to deploy in the government sector, because what I found in government, there's not a lot of transparency, there's not a lot of accountability, there certainly needs to be more accountability and transparency, so I believe I can manage inefficiencies and also create opportunities. I've been doing it for decades. I continue to want to do that right here in Huntington Beach as a city council member.
I have had the opportunity to be both in the financial services industry as well as a small business owner. I got to work in IT and project management, in lending, and organizational performance, and throughout the organization. The main thing, though, that I learned there was that it's really all about customer service. And with that, it's all about how someone feels. And you know when things are working well, it feels a certain way. And I would say that things don't feel that way right now. I think it's important to focus internally, get your own house in order. As a city hall, we need to do that. We need to listen to the community, listen to the customers. The entire community, our residents, our businesses are all our customers. But we need to make sure that we have a predictable, stable government within City Hall before we're able to really do anything outside. And we need to make sure that we're providing that excellent service. And that's the thing that I think is so important. And I've seen people who are sitting here alongside of me. It's also treating people right, treating staff right, making sure that you show respect and dignity for everybody, regardless of your opinion about them.
By way of example, the last deployment I was involved in as a Navy SEAL, we were given the role of advising and assisting the Iraqi Special Operations Forces with really taking back their land, teaching them how to manage their resources, their personnel, and their time, and get the job done most efficiently. Since then, really, when lives are on the line, we're negotiating life and death. It's in the balance. I've taken those timeless principles and I make a living now going around the nation, speaking to various businesses, applying those principles. So they're battlefield-tested principles that apply to business, things like capturing aim small, miss small, heart, vision, and how you overcome things like adversity.
So my insights kind of come from three sources. So the first is from listening to business owners in the city, and just, they describe the challenges that they face. I agree with Marissa in terms of acquiring commercial property for rent or for sale. They talk about how difficult that is because it's very expensive. The second source is from my own experience as a small business owner. I am sensitive to the fees and the increases in fees, and also, delays with obtaining permits. And then finally, my third source of information or insights comes from my experience in management for very large organizations. And there, I understand the macro issues that large organizations are concerned about, like recruiting and retention of employees. And if they feel like, the area is too expensive for their employees to move to, that's a real problem.
As the wife of a small business owner, I know it's important to support small business. And there's ups and downs with that and everything that comes with it. The business owner is sometimes the manager and sometimes the janitor. And we're there helping and doing all parts of the business. I've learned from experience. We've had a personal experience in our life where we were affected by the recession in 2008, 2009. That helped us rely fully on the importance of budget and self-reliance. And I think as a government, city council, we can oversee that and be more self-reliant as a city financially.
Well, there are two main business insights, both T's. Teamwork, I think, is a very important one. We've heard a little discussion about some of the tension, let's say right now, going on, but in the chamber. But teamwork is more than that. It's more than working with the members of the council. It's working with the members of the boards and commissions. It's working with the chamber. It's working with the entire community. So I truly believe my role is beyond just the 7 individuals on the dais. The second is transparency, and I've always been a strong advocate of transparency. I committed, and I stand by my commitment, that I will allow the full 3 minutes at city council meetings always when I am mayor, and I also would like to see that codified as an ordinance, and that's something I will continue to support as well. There's much more to me when it comes to transparency, but since I only have 15 seconds, I'll save that. A lot of it relates to question 9 as well.
So I've worked as a business consultant for the last 30 years. I started my first company when I was 11. And I currently work for nearly 24 small businesses, small, medium businesses in the region as our CTO or CIO, Chief Technology Officer, Chief Information Officer, filling that C-level role, understanding from crawling under a desk to plug a computer in, all the way up to building strategic policy and understanding what a business's needs are. My job is to find inefficiency and to apply best business practices throughout industry. So those are the things that I've been able to bring to City Council over the last 4 years. And one of those things are key performance indicators. One of the things that we kind of lack in the city is we do a project and understanding, was it successful? We do a study. Do we understand, did the study's predictions come out? And one of the things we've been slowly but surely working toward is that. One of the big things, though, is being accurate. Knowing when a business filed for bankruptcy and knowing when people actually join the city council in 2021, not in 2020 when the city files for when a company at the end of the pier, Ruby's, filed for bankruptcy. So being accurate in your accusations, I think, is a very important thing that we try to bring to city council.
Over my career, 45 years working in business, I literally hired and worked with over several thousand people. We were a large company. One thing I learned was to surround yourself with the best people possible, top of class. And I've heard some people up here talk about how we're losing people in all these departments. Well, I challenge you, I say they weren't top of class because I knew who they were, and I'm gonna find the people that are top of class if I'm on the city council. We need to keep what we've got here right now, especially with reference to events. The air show, the US Open, Code 4 even brought in a new act this weekend called the Wadapalooza. Not sure exactly what that is, but we have to keep what we got and we have to attract more, and I know how to do that.
What industry sectors do you think the city should pursue to diversify beyond tourism and car sales revenues?
First off, I don't believe it's government, or especially the city council's purview to pick and choose what industries want to come to Huntington Beach. All I know is that I want to be part of the solution to attract to attract industry businesses to Huntington Beach. I'm hoping to get the chamber, our economic development group in City Hall, and Visit Huntington Beach, all on the same page. And I even offered to go on trade show junkets to where we attract different businesses, and I'll pay for myself, because it's probably not in your budget, and it's probably not in Visit Huntington Beach, but I'll go myself, and because I love Huntington Beach that much, and I think I can sell Huntington Beach to new industry, new businesses to come here.
I'd like to respectfully disagree with Mr. Twining's comments that the city doesn't play a role in choosing what businesses come here. Our zoning code actually dictates quite a bit of what businesses come here. Understanding how the city is zoned, the beautiful color chart map you see of how everything in the city works, understanding that industry that wants to come here has to have the right zoning to go in there, and respecting what that looks like for interfacing. You don't want to put a heavy industry next to a residential neighborhood. You want to make sure that you have research and technology, clean industries. So I would look at lightweight utility manufacturing, higher tech industries, more offshoots, obviously, of the aerospace industry, because that's been our bread and butter for a long time. And if my information's right, it sounds like Boeing may be bringing some more folks back here. But those clean tech industries that Irvine has really taken our lunch on to really make sure that our zoning is appropriate in our industrial area and has permissive use in the code that allows businesses like that by right, instead of having to go through a longer process to get through based on like 1970s zoning, where most industry was generally somewhat of a polluter.
I do believe in the free market principle, that we should allow the industries that wish to come, shall we say. But if I had to pick an industry that I think the city needs, that I think there should be more of at the current time, it would be sport, whether that's gymnasia or various other types of sport facilities, things like that. And the reason for that has to do with my hope that we will have surfing at the 2028 Olympics in Los Angeles in Huntington Beach. So that would be, in my opinion, the current best industry that hopefully will come.
I also believe in free market, and I also believe in making sure our residents are safe and make sure that there isn't any housing built on landfill or next to a toxic waste dump. I feel like that's not a good place for city council, to be deciding if that's appropriate for housing, but that's another subject. But I would like to see more athletics and gyms here and businesses. We have a lot of very active residents here, and there's pickleball that seems to be the rage right now. We need more pickleball courts. I also believe that we need to lobby for a really awesome hospital. We would like to attract more medical community here in Huntington Beach.
So I first want to say that we need to make sure we're taking good care of the businesses that we have. Initiatives like trying to streamline permitting and things like that continue to be important even as we attempt to recruit new sectors. And I think, of course, government doesn't want to pick winners and losers, but at the same time, if we are going to pursue certain sectors, look at the areas where you know that expansion or new businesses are starting. Look at the businesses that government grants are flowing to. So things like manufacturing and chip manufacturing, specifically things like green energy. And then we need to look at what capacity we have here in the city as well. So, we have industrial space on the northwest side of the city. With capacity there, and I think that would marry very well with the types of technology companies that Mr. Kalmick was mentioning.
In the SEAL teams, we have a saying, earn your trident every day. That trident is what you put your hard work, blood, sweat, tears, and determination into, and you earn that trident every day. You have never arrived. You can't rest on your laurels. You have to have an ability to adapt to your surrounding environment. Here's a good example about how Huntington Beach did not adapt to its surrounding environment under the previous leadership. You'll notice he said 2021, the bankruptcy happened. Well, when did COVID happen? It was a government shutdown. It was government hardship. And I happen to know that the city council was granted millions of dollars in government aid. And yet they didn't receive a dollar. And so Dan Kalmick could try and pass the buck, but he never really gave Ruby's a buck at all.
So I think that it's important, as Rhonda talked about, we need to be able to retain what we already have, making sure that our zoning and permitting environments are both welcoming to our current businesses and also to those that we're looking at. We do have wonderful universities and schools, Golden West College here, UCI, Cal State Fullerton, that provides a lot of great workers. With that, we should be able to attract different industries because those workers are here. That being said, clean tech, aerospace, continuing to increase that or bring it back, green energy, also with the tech industry, research, admin, manufacturing, also making sure that with the manufacturing, we're looking at businesses that are providing the most sales tax because that's one of the main ways that we get our money through the city's revenue. Another thing is hospitals. What was said before I think is really important. If we want to have a world-class city, we should have a world-class hospital. Also with the aging senior population, we need to have more memory care. We have a lot of opportunity there.
Well, as has been said, they all matter. We need all types of businesses. And as the vice chairman of the planning commission and as a former planner down there, Dan should know that we've had a general land use plan in effect since 2017. So the city's already dictated the zoning. It's not antiquated. It's only 7 years old. So people at the community development department were hopefully well thought out, mapped it out, looking to the future, designating land use areas. So to say that we have a 1970s land use plan is out of touch. Now, what I'm against is modifying zoning to meet a new need. We have a general land use plan. We need to attract high-tech jobs. We need to attract sales jobs that create sales revenue, but they all matter. The bottom line is we have to have a business-friendly environment that's cohesive, that's attracting, and that will bring in business. The rest will sort itself out. Build it, and they will come. That's where the work needs to be done, welcoming all.
Some of our businesses not in the city center do not benefit from HB's major events. What would you do to change this?
Well, the first thing you have to focus on is the geographics. We can't change where they're located. So we have to look at ways that we can benefit them by providing activities where they are. The beach is going to attract all kinds of world-class events. Central Huntington Beach can benefit from more activities at the sports complex, in the equestrian center. Old World can attract opportunities there. opportunities and events bring people, people buy food, people stay in hotels, people shop. So what we need to do is geographically look at the city in its various sections, and we need to designate opportunities that only benefit or that can benefit those in that section. Again, you can't bring the beach to Edinger and you can't bring Old World to the beach, but what you can do is you can develop opportunity based on where the businesses are that can give them synergy and a symbiotic relationship with the events that transpire based on the geographic locations of Central Park, Sports Complex, Equestrian Center, Old World Beach.
As somebody who lives kind of on the other side of Huntington Beach, I think that we often feel a little bit alone, versus I grew up in Huntington on this side, and I'm a Huntington Beach local, but I'll tell you, when you're down at the pier, sometimes you weren't welcomed as a Huntington Beach local. And I think that that's what's important, is to really make sure that everyone in the community feels like a local. That being said, work with Visit Huntington Beach to further integrate the wider geographic business community when those big events happen, through increased and improved cross-marketing, working on different events like that. Also, we should do regional town halls for businesses in these different sectors in these different areas and find out what the challenges are. Allow them to create better partnerships. Working with the Chamber of Commerce, we can do that because it's already happening. But make sure that that geographic breadth is really offered through everybody. Also, we have the downtown bid. We can do things like that throughout town where people can organize and have their voices heard and make sure that they can improve their business, not just downtown, but here too.
It is that problem of geographical location. They can't move. And so the best thing that we really can do in situations like that is do the best we can to bring events to them, more festivals or carnivals, and also a way of perhaps getting them a seat at the table in the spotlight is to spotlight them a little bit more, spotlight some of the businesses that are on the outskirts and not really in the heart or the forefront of these larger events. And so we just need to kind of bring them to the forefront with that spotlighting.
So Chad, you stole my idea. I was going to say spotlighting. No, so I think that the important thing that we can do as part of the city council and government is to facilitate communication. So we all know what our signature events are, and working with the chamber, we can develop a mechanism for those businesses that don't feel like they get a chance to participate to communicate with the operators of these major events. And, our businesses have really great ideas. The business people are the experts on their own business. If they're able to communicate with the major event operators, they may already have ideas. What about having kiosks if there is a major event on the beach that highlights or spotlights the business that is from the center of the city, these things that are uniquely Huntington Beach. But I view our role is to facilitate those conversations.
Oh, I agree with a lot of what has already been said. The Chamber of Commerce, and I know some businesses aren't even aware we have a chamber. We need to bring more awareness to that so that they have a network, they can collaborate. And all the other business organizations that actually work together and bring ideas to the table to help improve and grow their business. Also, Visit HB, I know they got more funding. We can, use that as an attraction. Highlighting businesses is what was said before, and encouraging maybe even local business Saturdays. Just have our Saturdays dedicated to making sure we shop locally is another idea. And just make sure we're having awareness of businesses and meetings, as was said by Natalie as well. Have those kind of meetings for awareness.
Well, I absolutely support expanding the locations for these various major events. I've been proud to have 80 camp park events. I haven't had them yet. There's a few more left we have to do, but since January, I've had 80 park campaign events. I consider those major events. But in terms of official city major events, I also support an effort to encourage having those in the other parks, and then hopefully that will expand to the other restaurants near those parks. And I've had 40 events, or will have had 40 events at various major restaurants as well to help spotlight them as part of my campaign too.
Also living on the north side of town, it's sometimes called South Westminster. I've worked with businesses at Bellaterra, as well as looking into what's going on in our industrial areas. Businesses win when other businesses win, right? When we have this great economic engine, this synergy, restaurants full of employers fully staffed, go to lunch, those types of things, that you've got this great kind of circular economy here. We've analyzed our industrial area. The number one use in our industrial area is public storage. It's your crap in your garage being stored somewhere else, and that's the industrial engine for our industrial area now. Also, we are the number one per capita owner of hot rods in the state. All those industrial areas are tilt-ups are full of hot rods and toys, and I think we need to lean into that. And it's great to see a place like Hot Rods and Handguns be successful in that. But one of the things, I appreciate Mr. Kennedy reminding me that I did serve for 3 years on the General Plan Update Committee, but that general plan started in 2014. It's now a decade old. We have seen businesses change in the last decade. We're 60 years from launching at Kitty Hawk to landing on the moon. Industry moves quickly. That last 10 years, we've seen this massive change from retail, from the 2045 plan down to the 2020 plan. And so we need to be able to be nimble, and part of that's going to be updating our code to make sure that we eliminate regulation for those businesses to take off the chain.
As these other candidates were answering that question, I'm driving around the city in my head going, now what would I do here, 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 here? And I wrote down a couple. We need an equestrian. We have a world-class equestrian center. I think we can make that better. I'm not advocating for a polo field, but there's some type of horse riding where they ride and jump, and I don't know what it's called, but we need to take advantage of that. We have beautiful Meadowlark Golf Course. We should have an HB Open. I'm a big golfer, so I thought of maybe having an HB Open. Frisbee golf. We have a great Frisbee golf course. Themed boat parades. I don't think I'm not sure that we really advertise the beautiful Christmas boat parade down there every year. Southeast Huntington Beach has beautiful Edison Park. How about a couple concerts in the park down there? And then I'll finish off with, we have a lot of great service clubs in this city, and I think the service clubs ought to take on sponsoring some of those events around the city.
Please describe your vision for a successful collaboration between the city, the Chamber of Commerce, Visit Huntington Beach, and the downtown bid.
That's a lot for 1 minute. I wrote in my notes, that was probably the most critical question of the night for me. My business was in Long Beach. I was involved in Long Beach Chamber of Commerce, the Junior Chamber of Commerce. I was a 35-year Rotarian. I dealt with the Chamber of Commerce all the time because they reached out to me. I don't see that coming from the Huntington Beach Chamber of Commerce, sorry. The only time I see the Chamber of Commerce is if I go to one of the breakfasts. The only time I see Visit HB is if I go to one of the barefoot balls or the mayor's ball or something like that. I think we need to. You guys are great organizations, all of you. TBID, all of you. The DBID. I mean, you guys are great organizations. And if I'm on City Council, I will work with you all the time so that you're in with us and we know exactly what's going on everywhere in the city, and helping you guys get out to the businesses in the city.
I got to know a lot of the chamber folks when I served on the Legislative Affairs Committee, representing the Planning Commission when I was on there, which was a great synergy of local businesses, the chamber. Visit HB would show up every so often. We get information from our legislators. But I think that the city, the chamber, Visit HB, and Downtown Bid all have completely different missions. And I think it's trying to find what the synergy is between those, right? The city is our municipal government, public safety, roads, public works, infrastructure. The chamber is a representative body of our businesses. Visit HB is our tourist bureau, and the Downtown Bid provides supplemental infrastructure repair for downtown and helps our businesses be successful. So it's trying to find that overlapping concentric circle, I think, is going to be the key piece to that. But I think it's being successful, and I think it's advertising our businesses is what's most important. And so I think it's really trying to identify where that crossover is, because until we do that, I don't think everyone's kind of going off on their own position. We got to tie everyone's tails together and bring everybody together.
Well, I absolutely support collaboration between the city, the Chamber of Commerce, Visit Huntington Beach, and the Downtown Bid. And this is going to be especially important if we receive, and I hope we do, surfing for the 2028 Olympics in Los Angeles. I don't see Mr. Peter Town in here today. He's probably honestly surfing somewhere else trying to lobby for us to get the Olympics. But he has told me at an event we had where we toured the surfing museum with him that it will be very tough logistics relation to the Olympics, and we need to make sure that we are as organized as possible if that occurs.
I definitely think we do need to do more collaboration. Communication is important. Making sure each entity knows what each person is doing, what each organization is doing, and how we can work together. It should be a team effort, working together to improve our businesses and helping each one of them grow. I have had the opportunity to listen and talk to business owners, and I know it's important we listen to each other, communicate, and see what the issues are on each level of different businesses. I was just downtown today, and they were saying that safety is an issue at the D-bid, sorry, and we need to make sure there is a police presence down there, and there isn't a police presence. So these are just things, just being able to talk to each other. Let's talk to each other, make it happen. That's really what it's about.
A collaboration could take the form of something like a business roundtable, but I think the most important thing, the critical thing for collaboration is communication. And as I've said before, I view, my role as a council member is someone to facilitate communication. I think it is productive when people feel like, hey, I can talk to this person and ask them, questions, and this person doesn't just represent a chosen few, businesses or chosen few viewpoints. This person is willing to bring everybody together and let the various sectors go off and come up with ideas. I don't think it's helpful to see the number of voices contracted, like what we've seen, losing some of our boards and commissions. So the other value is bringing as many voices to the table as possible. You get the best ideas that way.
So we're talking about collaboration, and corporate groups often invite me out. As a former U.S. Navy SEAL, they want their team to operate like a SEAL team. They want that fraternity. And so they have groups that, they're kind of working with each other shoulder to shoulder, but they're not really close with one another. So one of the things we first do is get them all together and we capture the vision. We have a saying in the SEAL teams, aim small, miss small. If you're aiming at nothing in life, you're going to hit it. But the more particular you could be about whatever it is that's in your crosshairs, the better shot you actually have of hitting it. After you have that aim small, miss small, then going through a little bit of adversity together is something that really brings the team together. An opportunity for them to practice servant leadership, esteeming the needs of others as greater than their own, genuinely overcoming obstacles, figuratively and quite literally, sometimes going through obstacle courses. You'd be surprised how this brings a group together. And there's nothing that really brings a team together like that servant leadership. It truly is the glue that holds the SEAL teams together. And that's what I'd like to bring to those 4 representatives.
So I think a lot of this has already been said, which is collaboration means communication. Regular engagement and conversation needs to be happening between all of the different entities. They do all have different missions, but we have to figure out where they overlap on the Venn diagram. And then also, we should probably have leaders working in working groups to come together between those different groups to identify those synergies. We had something called the Community Cafe for the people in the community this last, actually 2 years ago now. Over 9 months, they got together and talked about in small groups what they could do to improve the city, what was important to them. We could do the same type of thing with these various groups. Another thing that's important is to, encourage people to go through the Citizens Academy, RMLA. Those types of groups where we can further educate people across sectors, across groups, so that way we can also be all working with the same shared set of facts as well about how our city works.
I'll reflect back on my business background. When you have different entities, the first thing you have to seek is a common goal. You have to look for a common denominator. So what I see with the city, the chamber, the downtown bid, and Visit HB, we're looking for growth, more people, more joy, more revenue. The way we get that is to continue to have that symbiotic relationship with business, the council, the Chamber of Commerce. We want to celebrate our businesses together, celebrate the wins. When you have people that are feeling like we're all winning or all losing. But on the positive side, when you win as a team, everybody wins, the tide rises, the boats all rise at the same time. So the first thing we have to do is identify that common denominator, and then we have to work in a symbiotic relationship. Symbiosis means all parties benefit, no one is harmed. So working together with the chamber, the businesses, and identifying how we can all raise the tide is a goal that I've accomplished in business. It's a goal I want to accomplish here on the dais.
Are there specific infrastructure and technology enhancements that the city should be investing in to support our business community?
Again, I'll reflect on my business background. As a councilman, what I would do first is I would take a full assessment of the needs and meet with all the relevant stakeholders. I would identify, then collaborate, then prioritize, and I would itemize the need based on the capital expenditures. I would create a timeline with milestones, and then I would go to work. That is how you understand your problems. If you don't understand the problem, I can just simply say we have infrastructure problems. It's aging. We know that. How are we going to deal with it? We have to assess it, identify it, prioritize it, and deploy the solution. So it's really that simple. That's what I do in business. That's what I think I would bring to the dais, is that mindset, that understanding that you can't just say our sewers are old. Okay, where is that in the stack of priorities? How are we going to take care of it? And what are we going to do to meet those needs? So the bottom line is that's my tree right there, is identify, collaborate, prioritize, itemize the CapEx, create the timeline with milestones, and go to work. That's how I will help solve these problems.
On a look-forward basis, we need to make sure that we have the foundational infrastructure for businesses like fiber everywhere throughout the city, power where it needs to be in the city. We approach the downtown area, which is really our living room, the place that people know us for throughout the world, really, and looked at through a downtown dreaming process, improving our living room, this common space, and investing in the infrastructure. That hasn't happened, unfortunately, and it really all stopped with the majority current council members that came in. The other important thing is thinking about the infrastructure. We have an infrastructure report card. We gathered over 100 plus people throughout the community to look at our infrastructure, to gather technical groups too. That infrastructure report card has been sitting there waiting to come forward. We're looking at C's, D's, and F's on that infrastructure report card. So we're gonna need to figure out how we're gonna pay for all of that. And with looming deficits, we're gonna have a challenge with that, but gathering the entire community, prioritizing what we're going to spend on, those are the types of things we need to consider, because the impact to all of us, our city services, and the business community is massive if we're not able to keep our eye on the prize and focus on improving that infrastructure.
In the SEAL teams, we really all are about striving for innovation. If we're relying on old, antiquated tactics, if you have somebody in the team that asks a senior guy, like, hey, chief, hey, assault leader, why is it that we do it this way? One thing you will never hear in the SEAL teams is we do it that way because we do it this way because that's the way that we've always done it. That's a great way to get wiped out on the battlefield. So for those that are on the front lines of the battle, and our businesses, our small businesses are out there on the front lines of the battle, we need to make sure that we are providing all of the resources, the infrastructure, the cutting edge technology, because we're dealing with a world that's constantly evolving, adapting, and becoming more sophisticated. The dinosaurs are not around anymore. And it's not because they weren't big, powerful, strong creatures. It's because they lacked an ability to adapt to their surrounding environment. And so we should be investing in the smart technologies, make sure that we're providing good paved roads to these businesses, better signage, just being really at the tip of the spear and giving them the armory that they need to work with to shoot, move, and communicate their way through life.
Yeah, so I want to follow up on something that Natalie mentioned, which is the infrastructure report card. And I don't know if everybody is familiar with that, but there is a study that was done that looks comprehensively at all of our basic infrastructure and figures out, you know, what its status is, gives it a letter grade, and also then has an estimate of how much it would cost to repair it, and also has priorities so that we have an understanding of, hey, which of all these things that we need to work on, because our infrastructure is old, what should be the highest priority? Our fundamental infrastructure is in danger of failing because, it is very old. And, if we don't have that, it kind of doesn't matter whether we bring in new technology or not. I would love to see fiber all over the city. I think that's something that would benefit everybody, but we do have to make sure we have our fundamentals covered, and the infrastructure report card needs to be released so that all of you can see what it says.
Yes, I think definitely I support technology improvements and enhancements in the city. Definitely go for it. We need to, I've talked to businesses here in town, and parking is an issue for some businesses. It's a structural problem. Just a gym I was talking to, they said the amount of parking spots correlates to the amount of mats that can be on the gym floor. And this is specifically a jiu-jitsu gym. And we need to make sure we have enough parking spots for all the businesses. That seems to be an issue. And enhancing our strip malls. We need to enhance those, and I also believe we need to beautify our city in any way we can. And the one-stop shop online, if we can do that permit process, make it streamlined, that would be great.
Well, I absolutely support the one-stop shop. I think it's very important we continue the work of the Infrastructure Report Card Commission and continue to have infrastructure improvements. One specific thing I think is an issue, particularly relating to the downtown. A lot of downtown businesses, because they're older and they're sit-down also, they don't necessarily have a lot of the the Apple Pay technology. And I've seen people say, look, I don't want to bring my debit card out and potentially lose it, so I'm going to go more inland, more to the Bellaterra, et cetera, because they have those kind of resources. So that's something we need to work on, particularly with the downtown businesses. I guess you could call it the Main Street businesses, not as much specific city businesses. I don't know if there's a role for government in that. It's kind of, a business thing, but maybe there's something we can do. We'll look into it.
Well, thank you. This is one of the things that I've been working on since I got on Planning Commission. I actually helped stand up a technology committee and asked the council to stand that up to explore these types of things. Unfortunately, the new council dissolved that committee. But one of the things we've really been pushing is for city fiber optic infrastructure. So one of the reasons this building has internet access is because the fiber optic's running in the street. One of the things that I pushed Public Works to do is when you dig a hole, don't put 5 strands of fiber in, put 180 strands of fiber in, because 99% of the cost is digging the hole. So we have future-proof technology. It helps us synchronize street lights. It puts traffic cams in. It provides internet access. Also provides a revenue source in dark fiber where cities can use, sell off their excess fiber, release their excess fiber to other businesses that may want to have separate campuses because we don't have big, tall campus buildings. As Councilmember Mosier and Bolton talked about, the infrastructure report card is also extremely important. Our water system is in great shape, but our sewer system, our stormwater system does not have a funding mechanism, nor does Edison really invest a lot. Go look outside your house at the power pole. You'll see 2 yellow pegs in it. It's where Edison's boring those poles to see if they're going to tip over in the next earthquake.
Well, anybody that knows me will tell you that I am very technology challenged. So I'm not going to try to match wits with Councilman Kalmick on my knowledge on technology. But I do agree with what most of the panel up here said. I believe that this city needs to be fiber optic wired. I believe we need to have free Wi-Fi for our visitors in the downtown area, plus others. But I do know infrastructure because that was kind of my business. And I drive the roads here all the time. And I haven't seen the report card recently, but I can tell you that I drive over roads that are being rehabbed right now, full depth reclamation projects. The cost of paving has gone up by about 40% in the last 3-4 years. And so it's very expensive. But I plan on, looking at it as a councilman and helping our infrastructure here in this town.
And I believe this is our last question. Besides the twice-a-month city council meetings, where do you plan to invest your time as a city council member to advance the business community?
Well, I'm retired. I retired at the end of December 2021, so I like to say every day's a Saturday. So I have nothing but time, and I plan on using that time meeting constituents in the office, the City Hall office, and I also plan on spending a lot of time visiting our businesses in town, having meetings with our constituents, you know, coffees, wherever it takes me. I will be 100% city council because I don't have anything else to do because I'm retired.
Well, thank you. I've looked into retirement. It looks amazing working towards that. I've been fortunate enough over the last 4 years that my Emmy-nominated wife has been able to help carry the load at the house, which I've been able to scale back some of my hours with my business to be able to focus in on public service. And you know, what I've been doing on city council is obviously our 2 meetings a month, but it's another 80 hours on top of that. It's research. I think if anyone that knows me knows that I consume an enormous amount of information and then try to give it back to you, maybe too fast sometimes, and sometimes you don't want it. But that's really where you can understand what other cities are doing. It's going to conferences, it's being on regional boards. I serve on the Southern California Association of Governments Environmental and Energy Committee, as well as their Emerging Technologies Committee. Unfortunately, I've been removed from all local boards, but I'm still able to contribute by meeting with other cities' representatives to find out what they're doing, how they're innovating, and that's how you really start to attract businesses. It's being a consultant, it's finding out what somebody else does, putting your name on it and say, look at this great idea I came up with, Huntington Beach. It's not always trying to reinvent the wheel, and unfortunately, Huntington Beach has a very long history of reinventing the wheel, and so what we've been trying to do is find projects that other cities have done and try to adopt them as our own.
Well, I do and will continue to devote as much, as a councilman, as much time and effort as possible to the city of Huntington Beach. As a matter of fact, I always try and attend every event. Sometimes you don't make it, sometimes you do, but I always try. As a matter of fact, later tonight, I will be going to the Huntington Beach Arts Center for yet another event after I talk to all of you, and then probably going home because I think it'll be over by then. But we'll see. Maybe they'll be having a good time. Absolutely, I'm going to devote as much to effort and time to you guys during the twice-a-month meetings. As I mentioned, I'll support the free minutes. I'll continue to have town halls, breakfast, lunch, and dinner with the mayor, yet another way to support our small businesses. So thank you.
As you know, I'm a mom of 5, but most of them have grown up. They're out of at home during the day, so I have time during the day. It's amazing. It's wonderful. Like, I was like, what do I do? So I'm running for city council. Actually, I love it. I'm really grateful because I want to serve the people here. I would spend my time listening. I've already done a lot of, as you know, I've been going around to different businesses, talking with them, and I will continue doing that. I will continue doing the homework required to make sure I know both sides of the issues and find out what the issues are for businesses and make sure I can support them in any way. I'm not going to look at the politics. I want to make sure you are successful at your business, and I want to support you in any way I can.
Well, certainly, I really enjoy going and talking to business owners and just asking them, hey, how's business? I like learning about their businesses. Business owners are the experts on their business. We are not. I don't pretend to be an expert on everybody's business, but it certainly helps me to develop the best policy that we can when you go out and see for yourself what business owners are facing. It's certainly the case that being on city council requires a lot of homework. I'm always amazed by people who come in and they don't have a notepad or anything to write stuff down on, because it really does, if you're engaged, it does require a lot of work. Doing research and things like that, that's my superpower, and I'm a geek, so I love it. Yeah, that's what I think, that is what I spend most of my time doing.
To advance the business community, I think we really have to take into consideration what is it that's affecting the business community. And that was one of the first questions that we were asked, or I answered, with public safety and the vagrants, the homelessness. And so in the SEAL teams, we have a saying of having an aggressive posture. We could walk down the same roads, the same streets, the same alleyways, and not be shot at, whereas other groups would be shot at. Why? It was all about our posture, our presence. And so if we have police that have a certain posture of presence, public safety out there, most of the calls that I went out on when I did a ride-along had everything to do with businesses. It was shoplifting. So we need to have that presence about them again. So I want to work closely with police to make sure that our downtown and the rest of the businesses are very safe. People feel comfortable about going there. And I also want to make criminals feel unsafe. It's time that we make crime illegal again as it goes.
I think first it's important to note that crime has always been illegal and still is. So, when Shirley Detloff and I, my former mentor who passed away this last year and former mayor, talked about me running in 2020, she said, it's a great time for the city and it's a bad time for you because I had younger kids. They're now 14 and 16. It's certainly a challenge to balance that, but I'm a former dancer, so I work on balancing things. But I think investing in community is also investing in my family. I think it's important to have active participation at events, ribbon cuttings. Those are just, things where you're just showing your face, but it's important that we show our face in those institutions, in those moments. I participate normally in a realtor-created monthly town hall. I'm normally supposed to be there tonight. Actually, the city is taking care of it for me. But those types of things regionally, if different areas provide these different town halls, businesses provide that, having those types of conversations. City can come out and say what's important to the city. We can also then listen and hear what's important to the businesses and have those types of conversations.
As we say in business, presence is power. I plan on being accessible to all. I said it before, I'll listen, not hear. Listening is where you understand what they're saying. Hearing is just a mechanical working of your inner ear. Public outreach will be important. If you can help people solve their problems, you earn their trust. In business, we say this: like, listen, trust, buy or sell, depending if you're in sales or whatever you may be. In business here, if they like you, they'll listen to you. If they listen to you, they'll trust you. And if they trust you, they'll empower you and you'll empower them. So I plan on deploying that kind of a mindset, like, listen, trust, in this case, work with. So it's accessible, its presence is powerful, and that is the way I will approach my community outreach.
All right, and now we're going to go ahead and start with those closing statements. We're going to leave it to a minute, please. Let's make sure we do that.
My dad always told me, son, you tell me with whom you walk, and I'll tell you who you are. I want to say I am very proud to walk with Chad Williams and Butch Twining as my running mates on the HB3. What I also want to say is, if you need surgery, you hire a surgeon. If you need business help, you attract a businessman. If you need leadership, you get a proven leader. So I am in those categories. I'm a successful businessman. I'm a proven leader. I can answer the needs of the city. That is what I want to bring to the dais. I want to volunteer my time. I want to solve the problems. I want to protect the Huntington Beach that I grew up in, make it the best Huntington Beach possible. So I will say on this note, we've heard some complaints with what's going on the dais. What I do need to point out is 40% of the council is seated right here. It's time for a change. The Huntington Beach is deserving of Don Kennedy, Chad Williams, and Butch Twining. Thank you for your time.
It certainly is time for a change here in Huntington Beach. It's time for a change in looking away from all of this culture wars and political agendas and things that just do not do any good for our community. We're tired of the chaos. We want calm, stability, and predictability. I am endorsed by the teachers, by librarians, the Sierra Club, the League of Conservation Voters, our labor, and many past mayors. Again, I want to calm the chaos, and I think we do that with leaders who are smart, curious, and thoughtful. Dan Kelmick, Rhonda Bolton, and I are those people. We will continue to shine a light on corruption that is happening within City Hall with this current majority, giving money away for an air show up to 40 years. That is unacceptable, and we called that out from the very beginning. We have lost every department head over the last 2 years. Over 125 years of institutional knowledge is gone. We want to make sure we can attract and retain our incredible world-class people at City Hall. And I also want to make sure we keep focusing on public safety, homelessness, increasing mobility, and also focusing back on the environment. I welcome your support and your vote, and I really am committed to this community and love it. Thank you so much.
As a Navy SEAL, I know in combat, when you're in a firefight, being a united front is critical. And speaking of fire, I'll mention that Don Kennedy, Butch Twining, and myself, we're all endorsed by Fire. Fire had fired Natalie Moser and Dan Kalmick. They don't want them. We don't have a united front on our council, and we are in a battle with the state. Governor Newsom has no love for us in Huntington Beach. In fact, he talks about us wrapping up speeches saying Huntington Beach is Exhibit A for all that is wrong with housing in the state of California. I think our community knows better that Governor Newsom, he is Exhibit A for all that is wrong with the state of California. But what we have on the dais are three that love Newsom so much they could taste whatever he wants. That's why we refer to them as the Newsome threesome. But with the support of the community, with your guys' help, those of you that love Huntington Beach the way we love Huntington Beach, we have an opportunity on November 5th. We can get this group that wants to sell us out. We could vote them out. It's going to be 7-0. Don Kennedy, Butch Twining, Chad Williams, and the Newsome threesome. They've got to go.
I hope to earn your vote by demonstrating that I am a person who is fair, and I am all about common sense and reason. When you are selecting leaders for our city, I urge you to select people who operate based on principle and not emotion and politics. Folks who operate based on principle will be predictable and reliable, and we will have a stable city economy. Folks who operate based on politics and emotion will be unpredictable and chaotic, and I think we have all had enough of that. Thank you.
I have been around to talk to a lot of our neighbors here in Huntington Beach, and I tell them I am willing to listen to you. I want to hear what the concerns are. I want to listen to the issues on both sides, do the homework, and make an educated decision. I believe in the Constitution. I believe in God. I believe in family values, and that we need to sustain and protect family values here in Huntington Beach. I want it to stay family friendly. I'm a mama bear. I'm willing to help defend that and listen to both sides, as I said, and I want to support our businesses. I want us to continue living in a beautiful Huntington Beach, coastal city, and make it attractive for all and be able to love and serve us all. Thank you.
Thank you.
My campaign is my campaign. It's the people's campaign. I am your voice. And I want to make sure that Huntington Beach stays exactly what is right with California. And I strongly encourage a vote for Mr. Amory Hansen, a historic choice for Huntington Beach City Council #2 on the ballot. I understand we've been getting a lot of momentum lately, particularly since next Tuesday, and we're going to keep that momentum going to the mail-in date and to the election day, November 5th. Thank you.
Well, thank you all tonight for attending. I know it's getting late, but it's been my pleasure and honor to serve as your city council member. I think you heard distinct differences between the folks currently doing the job and those that want to do the job. I've been working countless hours to make Huntington Beach, I think, a city that we can all be proud of. I get up every morning thinking about how I can solve problems for residents and businesses. One of the most enjoyable parts of my job is constituent services. Actually, even today, I helped a nice lady downtown who was having impacted by road construction and the parking that was impacted. And so knowing who to contact at City Hall and knowing how to get things resolved quickly for her helped their quality of life. And those folks are very thankful for that. But I think the rhetoric you heard tonight really paints that clear picture. And I ask that you send myself, Councilmember Mosier and Bolton back to the dais to continue to ask the tough questions that need to be asked of our council. And to continue to shine light on the things you may not know about, the things you wouldn't have known about if we weren't there. And we need to end this city attorney form of government bring it back to a city manager, city council form of government. Thank you.
I'm 100% pro whatever is great for Huntington Beach, and I always will be. My term on the HBCC will be dedicated to all the residents, and I will dedicate my time to the best of my ability. I believe in public service over self-service. Now, I know there's not much pay in this job, very little, but whatever it is that I get, I will donate 100% of that money to Huntington Beach charities. Finally, I want to thank Chad Williams and Don Kennedy for being my pals for like the last 14 months. We see each other more than we see our spouses. And I know our spouses would concur with that. But it's been a pleasure serving with you guys, and I look forward to continuing serving. And thank you, everybody up here. Thank you, Huntington Beach. Good night.
I think it's really important for the business community to know exactly who is going to be coming into the clerk position, and also give you an opportunity and platform to really get to know them and what the policies are about. The chamber is all about that, to help you know as a business community as well as a community who they are, what they stand, what their issues are, what's a resolve and how dedicated they are.